In this video, I want to introduce you to LastPass, which is the password manager that I use. And the great thing about this one is that there is a free option. So I'm going to take you through some of the basics, and we're going to start by creating a LastPass account and setting up a master password. Then I'll show you what you can do with the LastPass Vault. Then I'll explain how to set up multi-factor authentication to make your password manager even more safe. And then finally, I'll show you how to add a website password to your vault. So let's start by looking at how we create the LastPass account and how we set up a master password. We start by going to lastpass.com. This is the home page. We have two options. One, we can click on the personal button in the bottom left and then start a trial. That will take us through to the sign up form, which is the create an account page. Alternatively, we can click on get LastPass free in the top right of the home page. Takes us through to exactly the same sign up form. And then we start by entering our email address. I've created one specifically for this presentation, so I'm going to insert that there. And then we need to think about the master password. Now, this is what protects all your other passwords. So it needs to be something reasonably long. It must be something that is not easily guessed. But at the same time, you've got to remember that every time you log into LastPass, you're going to have to type your password. So it does need to be a balance between length and ease of typing. If you try to make it too complex, you may not get it right every time. If you click on the password box, you'll see that below it are the criteria that you need to think about to develop your master password. And LastPass also suggests that you write a sentence that means something to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my master password, we walk on Beach Road every day at 7:30. And you'll see that LastPass thinks that's quite a strong one because that green bar under the password box has extended all the way out to the right. If it wasn't so strong, it wouldn't be all the way across. And all the criteria are met because you'll see the white tick in the green circles alongside each of the criteria. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to retype the password in the box to confirm it, just to make sure that I've spelled everything correctly. And you can have a reminder, it's optional. So I'm just going to say what we do daily, just in case I should forget it. And then I'm going to click on the red button, sign up, it's free. And this is the next page you're going to see, which tells you to install the browser extension. Now, I already have that on this machine, so I'm not going to be doing that right now. All you will do is to click that red button, install LastPass, making sure that you're connected to the internet, obviously, because then that's going to download the browser extension for you. Once you have the browser extension installed, you would then go back to the login page, click on login this time, and you'll be able to log into your new LastPass account. So this is the login page. Type in the email address. Type in that long master password. Click login. And the next thing we're going to see is the LastPass Vault. And we'll take a few minutes just to explore the options within the vault. So this is the vault, and if you had anything in there, you would see it here, but of course we've only just set up the account, so there's nothing to see yet. But when you've added passwords and anything else that you want to put into the vault, you'd see it listed on this page. By clicking the passwords tab on the left hand side, that will show us the various passwords that are saved in the vault, which we'll get to a little bit later. If you had any notes that you wanted to securely store, you'd do that on this page. On this page, you can insert your physical and residential addresses so that when you have a form online to complete, LastPass will autofill for you. On this page, you'd store your credit card information or debit card information, the cards that you use when you buy something online. And LastPass would autofill that information when you're making a purchase. And then finally, in the vault, you can store information about your bank accounts on this particular page. Also on that screen, you'll see down at the bottom left, there's something called Security Dashboard. Now, this is useful to have, but obviously we don't have in our vault yet any passwords. But once you do have some passwords listed there, what this will do is it will tell you whether those passwords are secure, whether they're long enough, whether they have sufficient variation, and so on. So it's kind of useful to have, particularly if you're using your own passwords rather than the ones that are generated through the LastPass app itself. But one thing to be aware of there is that that security score is only available if you have the premium version. If you intend only to keep the free version, then while you have a trial period of 30 days from sign up, what you should do is to load all your passwords into the vault so that the security score will be available to you. After your trial period ends after 30 days, you will not be able to see that security score unless you pay. Also on that screen is a tab called Emergency Access. And this is something that you might want to consider, because what this does is it allows you to nominate someone who can access the vault in case you can't. And obviously you're going to make sure that person's very trusted, so it will be your spouse, a family member, or someone similar. And then if you click on the More Options tab at the bottom, this menu will open and you'll see that there's a help function there with a Help Center user manual, tutorials and a vault tour, so that you can learn much more about how LastPass works, especially in the premium version if you choose to go that way. And the last thing we want to do in terms of the setup of the LastPass account is to set up multi-factor authentication. And this is really important to be able to make it much more difficult for anyone to break into your vault. So what we'd need to do is to click on Account Settings. This window opens, click on Multi-Factor Options. You'll see LastPass Authenticator. Go over to the right to the Edit icon, click that. Change the No to Yes. Click Update, enter the master password, click Continue. That's going to set up an authenticator on your mobile device. So it'll now pair with your device, so click Enroll. Click on Set up Mobile App. And then you'll need to use that mobile device, your phone or your tablet, whatever you're going to use. Go to the appropriate store and download LastPass Authenticator. Once you've done that, click Next and you'll see this screen. Open the app and follow the setup instructions. You'll point the camera of your mobile device at this code, and then your mobile device will be paired with your LastPass account. So what will happen now when you log into your LastPass account is that you'll put in your email address and master password as we saw earlier. But this time you'll have an extra step, which is the authentication. So when you see this screen, you need to go to your mobile device where the LastPass Authenticator is. Open the Authenticator app and you'll see a screen looking like this, a 6-digit code at the top, a black box for deny and a green box for allow. You can either just tap the allow box and then you'll get logged in on your computer, or you can take that 6-digit code and put it in on the website page where we were before, and then click on Authenticate. So let's take a look at the final topic in this presentation, which is how to add a website password to your vault. Now you have a couple of options here. If you want to create a new account or a new subscription on a website or an application, you can choose to either create your own password and store that in the vault, or you can generate a new one from LastPass. If you have an existing account or an existing subscription on a website, you can keep the password that you've been using and you can store that in the vault, or for that same account or subscription, you can have LastPass create a new password for you and change the old one. I'll show you briefly how each of those options works. But before we get to that, there's one thing you really have to do to avoid major confusion. You have to make sure that your browser is not going to be saving your passwords and is not going to be auto-filling your passwords when you visit a website. So if you're using Google Chrome, you go to this page and you turn those two buttons off. If you use a different browser, you'll have a similar page, probably under security or passwords, and you need to make sure that your browser is not saving your passwords and is not autofilling, because LastPass will do that for you. So let's get back to adding and changing passwords then, and we'll start by creating a new account, and we'll open an account at Takealot. So let's go to the Takealot website and register as a new customer. So we're just going to put in some personal details and the email address that we're using. When it comes to the password, we'll see in the right hand side of the password box a small icon. If we click that, it'll open up the LastPass box, and that shows us the password that LastPass will generate for us if we want it. If we click on Show Options, we can see how that password is defined. So in this case, 12 characters. On the right hand side, a combination of all of those four criteria. We can make it longer if we want to. We probably don't need it that long for Takealot. And we can, if we want to, we can change the components of the password by clicking that icon on the right hand side. Once we're happy with it, click Fill and Add to our vault, and then we'll be all set. So now if we return to our vault and we click on the Passwords tab, we'll see that we now have a password. So we can change the way the vault looks. We can have it listed, or we can have the default version, which is, as we saw it when we first opened the vault, this kind of a block. Now, a useful feature of LastPass is that if you're in the vault, you can actually fire up the website by clicking that launch button. So you don't need to go to the site first. You can go to LastPass and do it from there. If you want to edit anything to connect it with that password, you click on that icon, and this shows you the website address, the name of the site, the username, which in most cases will be the email address, and then the site password, which is hidden at the moment. You would need to just click on that little icon there to see what it is. And a useful thing is to be able to put it into a category. So we'll call this one shopping, and any site that we store in our vault that is shopping connected would go into that same folder. So when we click save, that information will now be kept, and there you'll see we have a shopping category that we can put passwords and websites into. And then as you build the vault out with more passwords for various websites, you'd be able to categorize them so it makes finding them a lot simpler. So you'd have one for example, social media, you may have one for investments, you may have one for banking, but you get the idea, and you can actually decide for yourself what those category titles will be. On the other hand, if you wanted to use your own password on that register page, then don't click the icon. Simply type in the password you want, click Add to the LastPass Vault, and again, you're all set. So let's now log in to Takealot and see what happens. Now that we get there, we simply click on this icon in the right hand side of the password box and the LastPass box opens. Click on Fill and we should be able to log into our account at Takealot without having to remember the password. But suppose we already had an account at Takealot and all we wanted to do was to change the password. Well, then we'd click on Forgot Password on the login page. It would send us an email. We'd click on the link in the email. It would take us back to the website of Takealot and we would be able to select a new password from here. So we'd simply click that little icon. The LastPass window would open and it would show you the password it'll select for you. Remember, you can click on Show Options to change it, but we don't need to. Click Fill Password. Click Update, and that new password will be saved to your LastPass Vault. And the other option is that you could have an existing account and want to add your own password to the LastPass Vault, rather than having LastPass generate one for you. In that case, you'd go to the login page of the site, you'd put in the password that you want to use or you have been using for a while, you'd click on Login, and then LastPass would ask you whether you wanted to add that password to the site. You'd simply click that red button to add it, and again, you would be all set. So that's our look at the basics of LastPass. There are other password managers available, obviously, but because this one has a free version, it gives you a good opportunity to try it with 1 or 2 passwords initially, just to get a feel for how the process works and whether it suits you. And then when you're happy with it, you can move all your passwords into your LastPass Vault to help keep you safe when you're online.